Well, it's been an action-packed week over at the United States Supreme Court. On Monday, SCOTUS heard the oral arguments for the case 303 Creative versus Elenis, the case involving the website designer from Colorado who will not go against her religious beliefs by creating wedding websites that celebrate same-sex couples. Although throughout the oral arguments, the Supreme Court justices posed hypotheticals in an attempt to get their point across, try to pull a gotcha on her lawyer. One in particular caught my ear. Newly appointed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson made a comparison to Lorie Smith's case with the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life. Listen.
Public business. I'm a photographer. My belief is that, I'm doing It's a Wonderful Life scenes. That's what I'm offering, okay? I want to do video depictions of It's a Wonderful Life. And I, knowing that movie very well, I want to be authentic, and so only white children and families can be customers for that particular product. Everybody else can, I'll give to everybody else, I'll sell them anything they want, just not the It's a Wonderful Life depictions. I'm expressing something, right, for your purposes, that's speech. What about, what's the other step? It's speech, and I can say anti-discrimination laws can't make me sell the It's a Wonderful Life package to non-white individuals.
Right, because that would happen, right? Someone selling depictions of It's a Wonderful Life, and a black person says, I'll take one, and they go, what are you doing? Get out of here, get! Yeah, that's likely hypothetical from Ketanji Brown Jackson. The hypotheticals continued. Justice Samuel Alito chimed in and made comments that garnered heavy backlash from many, including frequent MSNBC guest Ellie Mistel. Take a look.
There's a black Santa at the other end of the mall, and he doesn't want to have his picture taken with a child who's dressed up in a Ku Klux Klan outfit. That black Santa has to do that?
No, because Ku Klux Klan outfits are not protected characteristics under public accommodation laws.
And presumably that would be the same Ku Klux Klan outfit, regardless whether the child was black or white or any other characteristic.
Yeah, you do see a lot of black children in Ku Klux Klan outfits, right? All the time.
Hilarious! One thing I would say, Ellie, is interesting reveal there from Alito that he thinks only black people don't want to be next to people in KKK outfits.
Yeah, look, Alito is basically a 4chan troll that's been given a lifetime appointment, so, that's always a problem. But here's why their analogies have failed so horribly in this case about the bigoted website design, right? Because they kept trying to suggest that public accommodation laws would be pressed if we were forced to serve people in, for instance, plan out. And that's not really the issue, because of course, if I am running a business, I do not have to serve somebody in a Klan outfit. What I do have to do is serve people who happen to be white. And it's only Justice Alito who thinks that the difference between being white and being in the Klan is exactly the same thing.
Oh man, I feel like we're watching some sort of high school sitcom, hearing all of these hypotheticals. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Bob Bianchi to weigh in on this from Law and Crime Network. Bob, it's great to have you on. Let's start with the 30,000-foot view on this Supreme Court case. According to all available evidence, all the reports, it is leaning in favor of the conservative argument, which is that this website designer does not have to be forced to create a website for a gay or LGBT couple against her religious beliefs. How do you think the Supreme Court's going to end up deciding on this?
Well, Addison, the reason I love being on the show is that I get to talk about law and not politics, personal opinions, and what I'd like the world to be, as opposed to what the law is. And that's where we get into this kind of spinning of the situation. It's a complex issue, but it's pretty straightforward. Again, whether you like it or you don't like it, whether you're left, whether you're right, is not what the legal issue is. The legal issue is whether or not the company that does not want to sell its product two gay couples that are getting married has a First Amendment right to do that. And whether or not the state law that says you can't discriminate based upon age, sex, national origin, so on and so forth, that's the other side of the equation. It's a very delicate balance that the Supreme Court has to come up with. And in these particular arguments, no matter how anybody wants to cut it, the legal issue becomes it's conduct versus free speech. In other words, if you are not giving a public accommodation simply because you just don't like a group of people and that's the only reason, you're going to lose that case based on the public accommodation law. However, if you have an honestly held religious belief and you believe that through your website and what you do, that you are communicating your objection to same-couple marriage, that very well may be a protected First Amendment right you have. So what these justices were doing through their questioning is trying to find out whether this is just conduct against a specific group that's protected from being discriminated upon, or whether or not the owner of the business is speaking, expressing their religious point of view in what they're doing. And depending on how the court finds those facts to be is what's going to drive the ruling. And as you suggested from the questioning, and given that the conservative court seems to have a majority, it seems from the questioning that they thought that this was more of an expression by the owner of the business, which would be protected under the First Amendment. That seems to be where they're going.
Yeah, and there's a lot of concern about the precedent this could set if conservatives lose this case, if the Supreme Court decides in favor of the gay couple, and that precedent could be, we could see a day where a Christian baker is forced to make a cake celebrating someone's abortion, abortion parties or something that are unfortunately becoming more popular now. Is a Christian going to be forced to bake a cake celebrating, I got my abortion, yay, or take transgender surgeries? Is a Christian going to be forced, or anyone for that matter, going to be forced to bake a cake celebrating a child's so-called gender transition? Are those reasonable concerns, Bob, if this case is decided in favor of the left?
Yeah, I mean, it has serious implications, Addison. I mean, let's use another example. Let's say you're a surgeon and you decide that you don't want to perform a life-saving surgery on somebody who's transgender because it's against your religious belief, or if they're an adulterer. Because you don't believe in adultery. I mean, it could have some very, very negative implications. I don't think the court's going to go that far in protecting that kind of thing. But in this particular instance, I mean, we have juxtaposed constitutional issues here. There are legitimate arguments being made on both sides, and the court's responsibility is to say, where's the break point? Where are we going to allow somebody to express freely their right to freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and not, however, implicate society's rules and regulations that you shouldn't discriminate against a person simply because they're part of a protected class. These things are going to keep going on and on and on. And whatever this decision from the court is going to be could have dramatic repercussions down the road.
Yeah, we can hold our breath and hope that they decide correctly. We've got about a minute and a half left, Bob. I want to get your thoughts on this. This is from Law and Crime News. Roommates who were asleep inside of a residence while 4 Idaho students were murdered speak out for the first time. And we have a graphic here of the victims from this University of Idaho murder. It's been dominating the news, mainly because of the mystery surrounding it, right? Police have a very cold lead, don't really have any leads on what's going on who is responsible for this. They've kind of evaporated into thin air. Bob, in about a minute, can you break down what these students, these roommates who were present at the time of the murder, what they are now saying?
Yeah, Addison, I mean, what's really interesting to me is what the father of one of the victims is saying. He is very disheartened with the investigation. He's been very public about it. As we've discussed before, having been a homicide prosecutor and given press conferences, I am very, very concerned. There's a lot of evidence, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of agencies that are involved, and they can't even get press conferences right. It's very disjointed to me to have the police giving press conferences, the prosecutor giving press conferences. Usually there's a unified chain of command. And the reason I bring this up is because if they can't, when it's completely within their control, be able to do what public information gets out there, what's the rest of the investigation when you have thousands of pieces of evidence and leads coming in? How is that being done? Is there a problem amongst these police agencies where they're not playing well in the sandbox with one another if they can't even get their press conferences and even let us know whether there's a danger to the community or not, or whether or not these people were targeted or not targeted? I'm very concerned.
Yeah, it's very strange all around. This just cold murder mystery case. Hopefully we get some answers here soon. Bob Bianchi from Law and Crime Network, always great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.